You got to see this. When you look at the biased media and how it looks at the March for Life, what's going to be revealed in this video. Check it out. The more you're seeing news just go crazy out there, and it's like, secular news is just sold out. I mean, openly have sold out, and we're watching those prophetic words, that God has given us and shared with us through other prophets that
changing our language.
You look at the media mountain totally taken over. I mean, you heard. I mean, so we can't talk too many details about that, but we're fixing to show you, God's for life. I mean, if you look at the laws of Moses, and we've been freed from the laws, but the laws that God gave Moses to give to the people, he said the law specifically said, this is what God said, if somebody hits a pregnant woman and she gives birth early, he has to pay, or she has to pay restoration to that person. But if they hit the woman who's pregnant and the baby dies, that his life has to be taken. I mean, God sees the life of the child as what it is. It's life. And the media, I mean, why would anybody want to cover babies any other way? But there's an agenda. As a matter of fact, I think that Steve Sanborn did an excellent job of Thine Ministries when he covered the 2010 March for Life, where over 300,000 people showed up to be able to stand up for the children in the womb. But he compares it though, well, how did the media cover 300,000 and what did the paper say?
And what actually happened.
What actually happened.
Huge.
As a matter of fact, let's join that now.
When we made Thine Eyes our documentary of the 2009 March for Life in Washington, D.C., we had hoped to set the media straight. We did not succeed. Their performance in 2010 convinced us that the issue at hand is not ignorance or incompetence, not even bias, but outright fraud. As in 2009, the networks, the major newspapers, and the news magazines all but ignored the march, despite the hundreds of thousands who showed up on a blustery January day amidst a threatened ice storm. The coverage the media did provide was even more absurd than in the past. In 2009, for instance, our 6-camera crew was instructed to shoot and, if possible, interview all pro-abortion supporters they found en route. They could find none. USA Today somehow managed to find a handful of pro-choice protesters and, incredibly, gave them equal billing. To complete the picture, the paper reduced the number of marchers to mere thousands. Our rooftop cameras counted roughly 350,000. Stunningly, in 2010, CNN gave that same pathetic handful of pro-aborts top billing. As I look at these signs, asked CNN's Rick Sanchez on air, which side is represented the most? Do we know? Well, Rick, we counted at least 300,000 pro-life marchers to 5 pro-choice protesters. In the real world, that qualifies as most. Only Newsweek proved more fraudulent. Its headline, "Who's Missing at the Roe v. Wade Anniversary Demonstrations? Young Women," set a new standard for media deceit. The truth was obvious to anyone who chose to see.
So why are you here, sweetie?
Oh, I'm here to show my support for the pro-life movement and to be one more person in the crowd.
One more of a big crowd. How many do you think are here?
I'm not good at estimating, but there are a lot of people.
Bigger than ever.
Yes.
You've been before?
I went last year.
I think they said something well over 300,000.
Wow.
It's fantastic. And so many kids.
Yes. I just came from the youth rally at the Verizon Center. There were lots of people. It was completely full, and they had to turn some people away.
You're kidding.
Yes.
Well, I hope we get our voice loud and clear for Obama.
I hope so.
A majority of the participants are in their 60s, wrote Newsweek's Krista Gesselman. Krista, majority means more than half, not less than 10%. And no, pro-lifers will not soon be too old to stage an actual march. Do not worry. In truth, young women of every race, color, and creed are the single largest demographic at every march. They number in the scores of thousands.
I'm marching because, as a teacher in this generation, we bring our kids every year to be an example to try and change the world and change the nation.
I was forced to face this choice to decide to choose life, and I just want to say that it's just very important to value life because it's the most important thing.
Por favor, toda la gente tiene que aprender de todas las cosas. No, el aborto no es una cosa que debemos de hacer. Tenemos que pelear por la vida de todo mundo, de niños, de todo mundo. Eso es lo que tenemos que entender. Gracias.
Why did they march? Let this young woman who bussed in from Kansas tell us in her own words.
I just wanted to share with you the witness of one very special woman that I met this summer and again on the march. Her name was Sister Trinité, and she's just like this little mom that would just like take all these women in and just help them with this sonogram and be like, this is your little baby, like look, and point out like the feet and like the toes and the fingernails and things like that. And as she was going through, she showed me another one, and she would actually name some of them, which I thought was really cute. And she's like, oh, here's another one, but we lost him today. And she just started crying and just gave me a hug, and it was so cute. She's like, it's okay, like I pray for them every day, and I pray for their moms, and I know that we're making a difference. And I saw her at the march, and she came running up to me and gave me this huge hug, and I just started crying because it was like, it was her day, which was really great. Everything she like fought for throughout the whole year, like she got to see all these people come together as one. And like just march with her down the street and help save all these little babies that she saw the little sonograms of. And so she appreciates all of you being there, and she just saw like all of like my school, the people that I call my friends, marching together with all their little red beanies, and she was proud to see you there. She was like proud to know you through me, and she was so honored, and she just loves that all of you witness every single day of your lives, not just on the march, and that you don't just come for fun. You come and you preach babies, you preach like life every day, and she really appreciates that. And she just wanted me to tell you all thank you so much, and that you will be rewarded in heaven. And that it seems like sometimes it's a losing battle because we come back every year and we hear how we're gonna like keep fighting this whole year, keep fighting, we just keep coming back and keep coming back, but that's what God wants. He wants us to be faithful. Faithful in the small things, and that's with every day, with every second, with every step forward. That's how we stay faithful, and that's how we protect and we like save lives. So thank you all.
The media will have only themselves to blame if next year the marchers come back to Washington not just in record numbers, but in righteous anger. More than any other event, the march reveals the truly eye-popping, mind-boggling corruption of the mainstream media.
Steve did such a good job, Steve Sanborn of Thine Ministries, covering that, and the biased. I think about what I just saw with CBS News in the morning reporting, what they saw in regards to the March for Life, and they immediately said, well, there was a March for Life, a few people show up, is paraphrasing.
A few people.
A few people showed up, but there was more people that showed up at the March for Death. I mean, they didn't say death, but the other one, and just went on about the news. I'm thinking like, that's it?
Yeah.
And it's like, why are so many people adamant about trying to kill off the population of our nation? I mean, that's the spirit behind that. And then you have, one in 5 women have, and this is an older statistic, are infertile and can't have children, and they want to have children, and they can't. And it's like, why are we so focused? Well, we're not. Things are shifting. As a matter of fact, I remember that when President Donald Trump was running for president, he specifically said that I am for life. And I remember that even on the debate stage, do you remember on the debate stage when he was debating Hillary Clinton, and when they were debating, he just came out and said, I just think it's nasty. I think it's not, well, I forget the words he was saying, but he's like, where she believed that the babies could be aborted up to the day before they were born.
It was very clear which side stood for what and which side stood for not. And it's very clearly understood.
And he's boldly some people say they're critical about folks, and it's like because they made a mistake or they did something wrong in their past, or it's like, but if they're standing up for what's right now,
right?
You know what I'm saying? If they're standing up for life, if a sinner repents, you got to understand that's your brother and your sister.
Forgive.
Yeah, and so they could be, I'm gonna look at my life and Steve's life, and Lord, Pat's life, Pat Hamilton's life. I mean, that God forgives us, but when somebody this man is more bold. This in our previous program, listening to Perry Stone, that he has stood up for more about Jesus Christ,
has acknowledged the name of Jesus, has acknowledged the name of the Lord,
just in the inauguration alone.
Yeah.
And for life, all life, not just the child life, but the book by Dr. Dobson, is it Fatherless?
Fatherless, yes.
Fatherless. It's a great story. It's a fiction, a factual. I don't know what you would call that book. And it takes the facts and it shows that, listen, if we don't honor life in the womb, they're not going to honor life, after a certain age. Even though they don't understand the reason why they got here is because the previous generation allowed them to be and brought them into existence. And so this is exciting. It doesn't matter how the press really covers it, because I really believe the press is just shifting anyway. God's raising up new press and new people who cover true facts, but in that, God is in control no matter what. When you saw the plans in Acts chapter 4, I believe, or 3, they're saying, why do kings and people gather against you and make plans of war against God and these strategies against God? But the thing about it, when men do that, when you think about it, all they're thinking is horizontal. They don't believe God exists.
Yeah.
And every single time, since they didn't include God in their strategy, God just blows their plan out of the water.
And then they're shocked when they're like, that they thought were going to.
How did that happen? Yeah. It's like the what thing that Perry Stone was like, what? Ma.
Yeah.
And you just didn't know God exists, but now you do. That's who messed. It wasn't man.
And he's 100% in control of everything that's happening.
Well, he's in charge.
Yes.
He's in charge.
Yes.
We're going to be walking that out. But yeah, he's in charge. But obviously, he's not controlling folks to march down the street that says we want to kill our children.
Right.
They're choosing to use their free will to do that. But 350,000 people reportedly showed up in 2010. And you look at the difference, the contrast in the two different marches. It was violent. We had like a 12-year-old kid that was lighting fires in the street. We had people in black masks, pulling mailboxes over. You had women, that were screaming, and they were saying things such like, "I'm a nasty woman," and I've been thinking about blowing up the White House. This is what they're saying. And so you're thinking, which was Madonna.
And they're applauding that and
cheering
it.
I think it was Madonna that made the statement. I saw it on C-SPAN where she said, I've been thinking about, pondering, or whatever, paraphrasing, about blowing the White House. I was like, what are you talking about? Why would she even think about that? And people are cheering it on. One of the Judd sisters, was there saying, that I'm a nasty woman. And it's like, you're a beautiful woman. Why would you want to call yourself nasty? Why would you want to degrade yourself like that? And so it's just a mindset, and Ephesians 6:12 lets us know that we're not wrestling against flesh and blood, but it's against spiritual wickedness. And it is difficult. I can totally imagine how difficult it is to, you have this pregnancy, you're not married, all the stuff comes before your life, your career, your plans and your vision. And so then you end the life of your child because you believe the press. You show up at a Planned Parenthood, and one Colorado, the Aurora Planned Parenthood, Aurora, Colorado, got an award for promoting the most abortions from the leader of Planned Parenthood. We'll make that available to you on the torch. So he's like, hey, we're going to give you a trophy. You've taught more women into killing their children than anybody else. And it's interesting that it's Aurora, because that spirit of death went into the movie theater where that man was watching that Batman movie or whatever. They're watching that Batman movie, and the guy walks in there and begins to just shoot all the folks up. And it's just like a spirit of murder. Well, God is beginning to shift all that. He's shifting every bit of this. And we're watching it right before our very eyes. And as a matter of fact, you think about it, for over 43 years, they have marched since Roe versus Wade passed the Supreme Court, which was really, it should have been voted on inside, law should have been made in Congress. It shouldn't have been made at the judiciary branch. It shouldn't have been made there, but they did. They made a ruling in that in 1973. Over 50 million children have been aborted since then that we even know of. and now they're preventing children from being born. And Japan, for example, in regards to population growth, they now don't have enough children to be able to sustain Japan. So Japan will fade out. Europe is going to fade out, and it's going to be primarily a Muslim nation outside the revival that's going to come, and a lot of Muslims are going to get saved. Right. I mean, that's going to happen. But America's, teetering on that edge of 2.5. You got to have 2.5 children per family to be able to sustain your nation. Sustain your nation. Yeah, you don't even have a nation. And so it's just amazing what's taking place. But God's turning that around.
Praise God.
And it's so exciting. And so for over 43 years, they've marched since Roe versus Wade in the streets, marching for life, calmly, just like they're doing. And it took over 40 years, which is like a generation, really, think about it. And now there's a pro-life president, a pro-life vice president. The vice president, Mike Pence, he is his whole career. I mean, he ran on a desire to bring an end to abortion. He defunded, I believe, Planned Parenthood as a governor in his state, and he ran and he didn't succeed at running for office. So he started a radio program, and every day he would broadcast his beliefs and have conversations about that. And now he is in the White House, and when we get back from this break, you're going to hear Vice President Mike Pence, the vice president, coming out to the march that they never came out before. No president came out before, speaking on his behalf, speaking on President Trump's behalf, President Trump's behalf about, man, we are with you, we hear you, we are for life, which means we're looking at the end of this thing.
And it's exciting the fact that you have someone in that position of authority that's openly declaring life is winning again. And it's just like, this is a moment to recognize the hand of God, and God is answering our prayers. It's huge.
Yeah. And if you're still thinking, horizontally and not vertically, horizontally you'll think, well, how's that going to work? But when God hears us say, we value life, God forgive us for the murder, for the innocent bloodshed, just like Josiah. It looks like a Josiah moment, don't it? When Josiah, there was bloodshed all over the place from Manasseh's tribe and all of that in Israel, and God was going to bring judgment down and destroy Israel. And then King Josiah was having the temple worked on, and they found the Word of God. They brought it out, and they read it to him for the first time, and he realized, you can't kill children. You can't sacrifice children to Moloch. Because all this innocent bloodshed that was going on. And so he repented and he stopped it, just like our president's wanting to stop it. And God delayed judgment over a nation.
God heard our cry.
This is important. I mean, we owe it to our leaders to say, hey, you helped prevent judgment taking place. Thank you for watching VFN TV. If you like this video, give us a thumbs up. Also, if you want to see more videos like this, subscribe. A lot of people want to abide with the Lord, but they just don't have a plan to do it. You can request that plan today at iabide.org. Don't forget you can join us 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Download our app and sign up for our newsletter, The Torch, at vfntv.com.